Borussia Dortmund has joined the race for Marcus Rashford. The Athletic reports credible sources. Welcome to the United Road Sport. Another update here concerning Man United and what's going on in this interesting transfer window where there's a lot of expectation, especially in terms of those players who should be leaving, but also a few who could come in. Now, this is one that has just dropped from a credible, arguably one of the most credible journalists out there. Borussia Dortmund, among teams considering to bid to sign Marcus Rashford, and that's on loan from Manchester United. Dortmund, alongside the likes of AC Milan, Juventus, and Premier League clubs, weighing up a deal until the summer. So it's a very interesting, I think development again for me. One thing that now that's coming from David Ornstein, just to quote him, but I think for me it's another a sign that clearly this guy will certainly leave because honestly, if you turn down bids from Saudi Arabia and there are already multiple clubs in Europe, big respectable clubs. Borussia Dortmund are Champions League finalists from the previous edition, so obviously for me that is a huge off-flattering bid there that I'm sure it will interest the player, especially if they are willing to perhaps agree on a deal that will see him not lose a lot. But I think one thing I think remains for certain. Marcus Rashford has got to take a pay cut. I mean, if he has decided, and again, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I'm thinking if Marcus Rashford is really ready for a new challenge, like he says, he knows that challenge is certainly going to be in a lesser team than Man United if it's in Europe in terms of wages, because there are not so many clubs out there that will be able to raise money close to what he's earning at Man United. Now, if he has turned down 3 offers from Saudi, where he certainly can earn a lot more than what he's been earning at Man United, then definitely he might be willing to take the pay cut or to take the loss, really, in terms of his wages and just go play football elsewhere. Just go find that new challenge here he's ready for. So for me, I think he has got to accept that because you look at all these clubs interested in him, even on loan. You talk about Borussia Dortmund, talk about AC Milan, talk about Juventus. None of these clubs, even other Premier League clubs, none of these clubs can be able to match his wages. So for me, I think I'm beginning to get convinced that Rashford will take a pay cut. And if that is so, then certainly teams will be fighting. I think will be queuing up for his signature because if you can afford him, any team in the Premier League from Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, name them, can use a player like Rashford. So I think for me, it's becoming to feel apparent now that he will leave, of course, go to Europe, where it certainly is expected. But I think there will be an interesting bidding war because I think one of the things I believe teams need to do now is to find creative ways because clearly they want the player. I think they've got to find creative ways of enticing him first, but of course, mostly Man United, because if United has got all these clubs interested in that loan move, which might be the most feasible of options available, you think they would want to get the loan deal that will make sense to United as well, not just to the player and the other club, but to United as well. And you think about clubs like Napoli, who are also interested. They have a player in Victor Osimhen who United can make use of. You're thinking they should be creative and structure a loan move that will see United benefit from the player like Osimhen. You look at a club like Juventus, they're also interested. You're thinking they should be able to make use of certain players who are surplus to requirements on their roster now, and entice United. You use Vlahovic, for example, because you know United are interested in a striker. So for me, my view is that I think we've got to wait and see what offers are available and how interesting they are, and try to see which one works best for United. But I think for me, the more interest that emerge in Rashford, I think the better it is for United because then it shows us that we are not the desperate ones. It's not like we are stuck with the player because a few seasons ago or a few transfer windows ago, we could barely attract a flattering offer for any of our players. So for me, this is a good sign. It might be a good headache, but I think it's nothing that United cannot deal with. For me, it's a good place for us to be running this transfer window on. So it's a very important, and I mean, people may not get how important it is for Man United to get a solution for Rashford, but The thing is, Rashford's departure makes way for a lot of things. Rashford leaves United. First of all, there is a huge weight that has been offloaded. I'm sure certain Man United players will be feeling, when is it happening? This guy should leave. The ease that it leaves the squad in, the ease of the squad when Rashford goes, because he's a big player, big influence in the dressing room, but also in terms of the wage bill for Ineos, in terms of how it frees up the wage bill, especially if he lives on a permanent. But even if it's on loan, because you're certain, even if he lives on loan, whichever club he goes to, Man United could be paying a small portion of his wages. So definitely it eases a lot in terms of the team. So in terms of the wage bill. So and frees them up to be able to make moves and of course bring in players. All these players United are linked with, so that we are able to match with the financial fair play demands. So it's a good thing that is happening. It's of course still a work in progress. I've been saying it here that the more you see clubs showing interest in Marcus Rashford, the more you should know that this deal will not be a 1 week or 2 weeks deal. I'm of the view that this is what could be one of the last deals to happen in this January. I think it's going to be a late deal because United have got to scrutinize all offers and make the best decision possible for them and, of course, the player too. So it's going to be an interesting race now that we're seeing, Champions League finalists joining it. We are seeing clubs that are in a sort of a rebuilding phase, the likes of Juventus also joining the race. So it's going to be quite a critical time for Manchester United. So that's exactly what's going on now. Whether it will be Euro, or rather Borussia Dortmund or AC Milan or Juventus, Italy or Germany, or Premier League, because again, this report from David Olsen says that even clubs in the Premier League are still showing interest and having hope. And these are clubs like Arsenal, these are clubs like probably Newcastle. Quite a number of clubs will be interested in him for as long as the thing about Rashford is being able to agree a deal where it can fit within your wage your wage budget. If that's no issue, then many clubs will be willing to take him on. So that's where we are. I should be happy with himself, I believe, because this interest for me is good. I mean, when's the last time we had any of these these serious clubs being interested in any of our players? Yet we've known for a long time that most of our players are sellable. So I think it's a good place for him to be at. I think he will be looking at it and of course think of himself as a lucky player, because even when your childhood club is done with you, if you can still attract such offers and bidding wars, if I would call them, from big clubs like this, it's then a good thing for you and your career. At 27, probably Rashford will certainly have a good exit from the misery he's enduring now at Man United. So that's what's happening. Of course, the Olympiacos deal is also beginning to grow. It's looking more serious with Anthony. It's looking to be the most likely destination for him. What will then happen in the coming days, we're waiting to see. But Sky Sports has continued to, I think, reaffirm what I told you about in the earlier video, that indeed Olympiacos are the Greek club hoping they can lure the Man United outcast and hope to give him a restart to a career that is still relatively young. So that's a bit of the quick update we can have concerning the whole transfer situation now with United. But of course, expect a lot more to happen, especially in terms of departures, but also a few interesting arrivals that are beginning to emerge. And I'm seeing people saying they will not be excited no more about transfers of Man United players, no excitement because of the hype and how players come in and fail. And I am thinking, I mean, how are you a fan of football if you cannot be excited about prospective signings for your team? I don't think it doesn't make sense, because the excitement of the beautiful game is in the transfer window when you're hoping to sign players and you're excited about what they can bring. So if your club is going to be signing players and you don't want to be excited about them, it's okay for players to fail. There are no guarantees in football, but you look at the player your club is looking at and you analyze them and study them. If they're exciting, be excited. Don't fight it. I mean, that's it. That is why we love sport. It should be what I think takes us away from the other more important things in life that are also hard in themselves. So I think for me, the people who feel we can't be excited about players, I think you're defeating your own self. I mean, if you're choosing to go like that 2025, it's okay. For me, I will be excited about every player Man United is hoping to bring in. If it doesn't work, it's okay. There are no guarantees in football, and I know it. But that doesn't stop me from being excited about a player who the coach I believe in is excited about. So for me, that's my attitude for this new year 2025. My name is Webb. This is the United Sport. It's exciting that Rashford is wanted by Borussia Dortmund among so many other big guns in Europe. Cheers.